The heart stops. The body grows cold. But something remains awake. Between the last breath and the first second beyond, there is a moment when the soul remembers and understands. Some believe that death erases all, yet the scriptures speak of an instant when the mind does not fade. It awakens. The soul perceives what it was, what it did, and what it can no longer undo. The Bible speaks of this moment, a threshold where nothing is lost, neither memory nor the weight of one's choices. They say that forgetting is peace. But what if eternity is remembrance? What happens when silence answers? There, where time cannot reach and truth cannot be denied, begins what few dare to face in the valley of redemption. Everything begins at the edge of the final breath. The body yields, and what was once matter returns to dust. But consciousness does not follow the fall. It detaches, hovering above what it once called life. The room, the motionless body, the fading sounds, the air that ceases to tremble. It is the first shock, realizing oneself alive amid death, feeling one's own absence within a world that still continues. The scriptures describe this moment not as an end, but as a separation. Then shall the dust return to the earth as it was, and the spirit shall return unto God who gave it. In that instant, the soul understands what the mind never could. Death is not erasure, it is revelation. The detachment does not hurt. It clarifies. The soul crosses the threshold as though breaking through a mirror. What was once opaque becomes translucent, and the invisible takes form. No secret endures. No thought remains hidden. The spiritual realm, once distant, now unfolds with painful clarity. Some are received in light, guided by presences that do not speak, yet welcome. They feel the weight of life replaced by an incomprehensible lightness, as though each memory were being read before a silent flame. Others awaken in emptiness, a space not dark, yet without direction. They attempt to cry out, but sound no longer responds. And then they realize that death has not silenced them. It has merely removed the echoes that once distracted them. And all, without exception, understand that death is not forgetting. It is perfect remembrance. The boundary shatters, human time dissolves, and what remains is pure awareness, the echo of all that each soul once sowed while it still breathed. Just beyond the threshold, the soul stands before the naked truth. There is no voice to explain, no figure to intercede. There is only consciousness, a light that does not wound, but exposes. It does not arise from without, but from within, as though one's very being had become a mirror. Each memory returns as a witness, forgotten gestures, words cast to the wind, intentions carefully concealed. Nothing is lost, nothing distorted. All returns, ordered, precise, impossible to deny. It is the silent judgment, the one that precedes any sentence. There are no courts, only the awakened mind before itself, judging with the clarity it once feared. The soul perceives what it was and what it might have been. The good intentions that never became action. The truths it chose to ignore. The forgiveness it could have offered, yet withheld. The weight of omission is colder than that of error. For now there is no time left to amend. For some, this revelation is comfort. They see their failings without despair, as though finally understanding the path that shaped them. For others, it is torment. The same light that illuminates also burns. Every memory becomes a wound that sears from within, and the soul seeks to hide from itself. Yet there is no shadow to be found. Death does not lie. It merely shows. And when it shows, no gaze can remain the same. The truth asserts itself with the serenity of something eternal. There is no more doubt, no more deceit. Only the final recognition of all that we truly were. After the revelation, the soul is drawn, not by choice, but by affinity. The light calls to what belongs to the light. The darkness reclaims what longed for it. It is the natural movement of the eternal, where each being finds the place it built in life. There is no luck, no chance, only correspondence. Those who loved truth feel a gentle wind, a force that guides them without fear. They are received in serene silence, the kind of peace the world could never offer. Around them, ancient presences gather, echoes of voices that once prayed for them, unseen guides who had long awaited this moment. Everything is recognition. Everything is return. But there are others who awaken in emptiness. The same instant that brings comfort to some becomes a fall for them. They seek the face of God and cannot find it. There is no visible fire, no theatrical punishment, only absence. An absence so dense it weighs like iron. Consciousness burns, not with flames, but with memory. Each lost chance becomes a wound that never heals, and thus is fulfilled what was always written. Destiny does not impose itself. It merely reveals. Heaven and the abyss are not distant places. They are states that have always existed within every soul, awaiting the moment when all would become final. When the inner judgment ends, silence comes. Dense, absolute, almost sacred. There is no longer escape nor disguise. Each soul feels itself drawn, not by force, but by attraction. Destiny does not push, it calls. And the voice that calls is woven from the sum of all that we were. For those who chose the light, the awakening is gentle, almost familiar. The divine presence surrounds them like a rediscovered memory. There is peace, but not the peace of men. It is a living stillness, pulsating, where love moves like light breathing. Every forgotten face reappears purified. Every tear finds meaning. Time ceases to count. for nothing more needs to be measured. But for the others, that same radiance is a wound. The truth that saves also consumes. They see the light, yet cannot dwell within it. And the distance between seeing and belonging becomes their torment. They try to turn away, but there is no shadow in which to hide. The abyss is not a place. It is a consciousness that never fades. The fire that burns is that of remembrance, the sound of lost opportunities, of words unsaid, of faith postponed. Eternity begins at this threshold, not as a punishment imposed, but as the final echo of human will. What each has nurtured becomes a dwelling. What each has rejected becomes absence. And in that final instant, the whole universe seems to hold a single sentence written in silence. Everything returns to its origin, and each soul to the truth it chose to follow. All things end as they began, with a breath. But now, it no longer belongs to the body, but to the spirit that endures. What was once only faith becomes vision. What was promise is revealed before the eyes of the soul. No human sound can describe the instant in which truth asserts itself with such clarity. It is the final awakening. Those who dwell in light behold justice as melody. Every painful memory transforms into meaning, every loss into a fulfilled promise. They do not look back with longing, but with understanding. All that once seemed suffering was the mold of the eternity that now embraces them. Those who remained in shadow find no rest. The silence beyond is filled with echoes, their own thoughts repeating what cannot be undone. There are no visible flames, yet there is a burning that eats from within, the late recognition of all they despised. Time no longer exists, and still the pain persists. And then the mystery is understood. Death was never the end. It was merely the revelation of what had always been alive. The soul does not sleep, it awakens. And in that awakening, the entire universe seems to bow before the decree of the Creator. There, where forgetting cannot reach and consciousness is eternal, the destiny of each soul is fulfilled in the valley of redemption.